Alright everybody, in this video I'm going to show you how to winterize your travel trailer or RV step by step, so stay tuned. Alright everybody, welcome to another episode of Unique Adventurez. So on this channel we do travel videos, we do vlogs, we do camping, cruising, everything in between, tips, tricks, reviews, and in this video we're going to show you on our 2018 Jayco J-Fly 267 BHSW how to give it a proper winterizing, and we're going to show you the different ways that you can actually get that done, because there is more than one way to do it. Alright, so the first step is to make sure to get a good flush on your tanks. Now the first thing you want to do even before you do that is make sure to open up all your faucets, drain as much water out of that system as possible, all your faucets, showers, your toilet as well. Make sure you've purged as much water as you can out of the system at that time to hit your tanks, and then once that happens, make sure that you get a really proper clean out. Make sure you spend that extra time the last time that you empty your tanks for the year to make sure you've got all that water and all that waste out, and then once you've done that, you're ready for step number 2. Alright everybody, the next thing, and probably the most important thing that you do when you are winterizing, is to make sure that you get all the water out of all of your lines inside. And you're probably asking, well, how do I do this? We're going to show you the 2 ways that you can do this. The first way is the way that we prefer to do it up here in the Pacific Northwest. We do not freeze as bad as people in the Midwest, up in the Northeast, so we don't have to worry about freezing, sub-freezing temperatures. So we can get away with a little bit less. So what we are going to be doing here is we are going to be taking this air nozzle and we are going to be blowing out our lines with compressed air. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hook this thing up to the city water connection. We're going to hook our air compressor up to it and we're going to charge it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open up every faucet, hot and cold, one at a time, and we're going to push all that water out as best as we can. Now this guy here, Camco makes this. It's about $9. You can get fancier ones for like $14 to $15. We'll have a link in the description below in case you want to get your hands on one of those. But essentially it just hooks right into your city water connection, and then it's got a plug on the other side that will adapt to your air compressor line. Everybody, so we've got our air compressor here. It is set at 40 psi. Typically most systems you're going to want to check your manufacturer, but they typically say not to put the more than 30 to 40 psi. I just do that just to be safe. If you try to run a full line 150 psi through this, you're going to blow all your fittings out on the inside. You're going to create quite the mess. So you want to make sure that your pressure is regulated down so you're only pulling that little trickle flow through. The other thing I want to recommend is use at least a 6-gallon air compressor when doing this. We used the 3-gallon the first time and I ended up blowing it up and it just was not pretty. So 6 gallons is at least the bare minimum you should be at to do this. So now what we're going to do, we're going to open our city water connection. We're going to screw this guy in. There we go. So now, and we want that fairly tight because that is going to, if that's any part loose, once you hook the line up here, you're going to get air squirting back out the back side. So now from here, we're going to hook up our line, lock it in, and then come into the air compressor and lock it in. Now what you're probably going to need to do is once you've hooked your lines in, you're going to have to recalibrate your pressure. So right now we're right around 40 psi. And now we are ready to go inside and actually turn on our faucets and see if we can get some water to come out. Now mind you, before you do your last dump, also make sure, just in retrospective, to open up all your valves and clear them out as best as you can before you do that last dump. You do not want a ton of water in your lines, because what's going to end up is it's going to end up back into your tanks, and then it's going to be sitting there over the winter, and you definitely don't want that. So before that last clean out, open up all your valves, get as much water out as you can to be ready for this process. So now we've got our line set up to air through. You're going to open up one faucet at a time, and we're going to see what happens. And that is it. We're going to turn that faucet off now, and what you will need to do next is do the same process with each faucet, each handle, each valve, and completely throughout your whole trailer. Now mind you, that air compressor is going to run a couple of times, especially off that first valve that you run. You may have to energize that 6-gallon air compressor probably 2 to 3 times to get it all the way through. It definitely will take some time, but the pros of doing it this way is to make sure that you don't have to put any of that RV antifreeze in anything that you drink, or anything that's going to have any contact with anything that you're going to put in your mouth. I personally like doing it this way. It just makes things a lot easier when you have done every valve. So you're going to do your sink in here. We have another sink in the bathroom area back here. The toilet, you'll want to depress the toilet, and you'll want to burn all the water through that as well. And then the shower, if you've got an inside shower, you're going to want to open those up one at a time, drain those out. And then also the one that you may forget, if you have an outside shower, that also needs to be purged as well. Once you've got the system purged, all you need to do at that point is just keep that valve on. Keep everything open. So keep all your faucets open. And what that will do, that will not trap air and stuff in there. It'll be a free-flowing line, and the little minuscule amount of water that you have in there will not freeze and swell, because it will have air to travel through. We have done this 2 times, and I know a lot of people do it this way. We have never had an issue with lines bursting and lines, blowing up and stuff like that. So this is the way that we clear out our lines, but there's also another way that you can do it, and I'm going to show you that next. Right. So the second way that you can do this, and this is underneath our sink here, you can see right in front of us here is our water pump. And what you can do is you can actually take the RV antifreeze and you can pump it throughout your whole system, and putting RV antifreeze into all your lines will ensure 100% that they won't freeze, because it'll have antifreeze all throughout your lines. Like I said, the con of having that in there is you're gonna really have to flush it out really well and hope that you do, and then I just don't do it, just because I have that bad feeling of, if I'm putting some of that in my mouth, it's just just not something I'd rather play with. But this is an option to do it. So what you would do is you would take your RV antifreeze, you would put your bottle in here, and then there's this line that tees off of the pump. You would put it inside of the RV antifreeze, and essentially turn on your freshwater pump, just like if you were pumping without any city water connection, and it would pump and cycle everything through into all your lines, into your rig. All you would have to do, just like we did, open up a valve and make sure it comes through until it comes out. The one thing that you have to do if you are doing it this way is you're going to want to bypass your hot water tank. There'll be two valves that you'll have to flip near your hot water tank to be able to do this, to bypass it, so you don't get any of the antifreeze into your hot water tank, because it's not good for it. So this is the second way that you can put antifreeze into your system, or you can blow it out. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. Most RV dealerships are going to do the antifreeze method of pumping it through your lines. Alright, just a quick note, when you're sending this stuff through the RV antifreeze through this line here, this black little piece down here, there'll be another valve that you will actually switch off of your freshwater tank, and it will activate and open up this valve for it to pull the antifreeze throughout your whole system. Just like we said, you just hook that up, and then you will open up one faucet at a time until you start seeing that pink stuff come out, and then you shut it, and then you're done. So let's now go to the next step. And our next step here is to empty out our hot water tank. We need to get all that water that's sitting in there. We have a 3-gallon tank, so we've got 3 gallons of water sitting in there that can't sit there over the winter. So we're gonna go ahead and take that out. All right, everybody, here we go. So this is our hot water tank here. We're gonna open it up, and you're going to see a whole bunch of different stuff in here, but what we're going to be looking at is this little plug right here. This is what we're going to open up. Now these are going to be made of Teflon, so you got to be real careful with them when you're opening them up. So you can use a socket or a wrench, whatever floats your boat. I've already got my wrench ready to go, so we're just going to open that valve and try to get on there real well. And once you've got it out enough, you can actually spin it by hand, and as you do that, you're gonna start seeing all your water come out. All 3 gallons of that it's gonna empty. And that's pretty much all there is to it in emptying that tank. You pretty much just got to wait for all that water to empty, and then you are done emptying that tank. Right. So alright, everybody, we have now got all of our water out of our system. Now what we need to do is put in RV antifreeze in the places we know now that are viable options for water to freeze. Biggest things are your P-traps, so all your sinks, in your toilet, and then also in your bathtub as well. You want to make sure to put a fair amount of RV antifreeze in each one of these so that you can make sure none of that stuff freezes into that P-trap. So that's what we're going to do right now. Now you can get this stuff from Walmart. You can get this stuff online at Amazon. We'll have a link below. The stuff's like $2.50 a gallon. I usually pick up a couple of gallons when I'm going to do this. So pretty much you're just gonna drop a little bit into each trap, and that's pretty much it. It's pretty simple. Alright, everybody, we have made it into the bathroom now. We are standing right in front of our throne, or our toilet, whatever you call it. So we're going to open this guy up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put RV antifreeze into the toilet, but also, we are going to put some RV antifreeze into the black tank. We have access pretty much when you hit your switch to dump or when to flush the toilet, you have exposed access to the black tank, so that gives you a great shot to just put some RV antifreeze through that. So essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to open that trap up, and I pour almost a gallon of it down in there, and then you would just close it up, and then once you've closed it, then you're also gonna pour a little bit right in the top there, and just keep that sitting above that seal to make sure that seal doesn't get messed up so it doesn't freeze, all those things. And as long as you've got all your P-traps, you've put at least probably close to a gallon of it down into that black tank, and then putting that little bit into the toilet, you're pretty much done with RV antifreeze the way that we do it. So another piece to winterizing your rig is making sure that you've got all of your linens packed up. Now, we don't have our boxes out here yet, but we keep Rubbermaid totes that we put all of our linens into, lock them down so nothing has a chance to get in here and make a home or anything like that. So pretty much all of our cabinets, everything will be completely clean. All of our food gets taken out at the end of the year, and this cabinet is just left. Now, the other thing that you want to do is keep all of your cabinets at least cracked a little bit. This provides good circulation to get through your rig at all times. You don't want to have all this stuff closed down and then have moisture or something build behind there. It's just not good. So I try to keep every cabinet in my rig open while I'm not using it. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't use your rig during winter months. We probably plan on trying to use our rig during winter months. We will just sparingly take what we need to in here. We will not use any of the water system. Pretty much the only thing we get to use is the black tank, and to flush water down and to just put a little bit of water in the toilet as we're going to the bathroom. And that's pretty much it for winter camping, just because I personally don't want to send water and everything through the lines and then have to backtrack and re-winterize everything afterwards. So it's not that you can't use it after you've done this. You just want to really watch what you're bringing in and make sure that you open up everything back up and make sure that it's ready to go there. So that is the next step that we take. Alright, and one of the last things that we do is we also get one of these damp rid or moisture absorbing deals. We're going to put this back like right in an open area here, and then when we get done with that, if we do get any moisture or anything like that in the rig, it will collect in here, and I usually try to come in about once a month and empty it, make sure that we're doing okay with moisture in here. Especially here in the Pacific Northwest, it gets extremely humid. It's rainy during the winter time. This is something, especially if you're here in the Northwest, you have to put some kind of dehumidifying system in here, whether it be one of these or a dehumidifier or something. You want something to be able to collect that moisture out of here, so just so you don't have any issues with mold or anything like that. You know, this is like a $6 to $7 investment, well worth the price of preserving the life of your rig. We've got this RV Care 3-in-1 rubber seal conditioner. I like to put this on our seals at least a couple of times a year, but especially right before we winterize. We would just come in, spray that on the seals, spray that all the way up the line. Helps condition the seals, helps keep them in good shape so you don't get any cracks, and then you get moisture coming in and around. So definitely that rubber seal conditioner is definitely something to do while you're winterizing. Alright everybody, and our last thing that you have to do getting ready to winterize is making sure that you take care of your batteries. If you have got lead acid batteries, you want to get some distilled water. You want to make sure those cells are topped off. You just pop the top, check your battery there. If all your plates are underwater, you're good to go. If they're not, just throw a little bit of distilled water, not regular water, distilled water. You got to put distilled water in these batteries. Bring them back up, you'll be fine. You need to keep them on some kind of a charge or tender during the winter. So that's either keeping your rig completely hooked up throughout the winter to shore power, or you can take your batteries and take them out and put them in a tender in your house, preferably not kept on straight pavement or concrete. You want to put them on something else and keep them on charge during the winter. Or one of the other things you can do is grab a little solar package. Doesn't have to be anything much. I think like 50 watts or less, just something to trickle charge those batteries. And like our unit here actually has a little plug-in in the side, so if you had a little charge controller and a little solar panel, you could actually probably keep your batteries topped off all year long without actually hooking up to shore power. But you need to do one of those things or you will drastically decrease the life of your batteries. You need to make sure to keep them charged up throughout the winter. Even during the year, you should probably try to have your rig plugged in as much as possible to keep those batteries as fresh as they can be. So alright everybody, if you got value out of this winterizing video, and if you want to see more maintenance videos and tips and tricks, make sure to leave a comment below. Tell us what you think. If I missed something during this, tell me how you guys do your winterizing. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to be subscribed when we do videos like this, when we do our vlogs, when we're going on destination travel. Make sure to follow us. It definitely helps us grow our following, helps us grow on YouTube, and that's what we're trying to do. But we appreciate all the support, and we'll see you guys in the next video.